Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight TV Edition. I am Peter, that is Tim. We are working our way through Tales from the Crypt, the horror anthology show from HBO from the early 90s. This is going to be, this is actually the start of a new season. We are beginning season 5, this is episode 1. It is called Death of Some Salesmen. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. Also, that title's kind of funny because it sounds like it's just some salesman as just one random salesman, but it's actually multiple. It's a witty title. Why are you making a face at me, Tim?
Oh no, it's I agree. It's like a play on Death of a Salesman, and it makes it sound more like it's more like who cares? It's just some salesman as opposed to
whoever. Who cares? Egg Bigley Jr. I mean, who's first? So he's in the episode. He plays this salesman who sells cemetery plots. Well, that's what he claims he is. He's actually just a con man. He just cons people out of money by convincing them that their loved one already put a down payment, and he hustles them out of money and then never looks back. That's what he does. He basically victimizes widows and widowers. So,
real piece of work.
Yeah. He also uses his slick skills to bag the ladies. Which, I mean, I had a lot of questions about this opening scene. So we have this... Given that it's just kind of an intro to his character, it's kind of an absurdly long sex scene, but she wakes up in the morning and says, so I'm going to go with you to, whatever city. He's like, nah, but a change of plans, that was last night, this is today. He's like, but you told me you loved me. Yeah, and you took off your panties. That's salesmanship. So clearly, he's an asshole. My question here, right, is, did they just meet and she bought that he loved her on the first night they met?
That's what I'm assuming. My guess was that he, basically did a con job. He probably, I figured this was maybe like a small town. He met her, maybe she's a waitress or something, and he's kind of this big slick, city businessman who, probably, just threw her a lot of fancy words and was like, I'd love to take you back to the city with me or something. That's what I kind of assumed. Because
in my head, there's two scenarios. One, they just met, and he somehow said I love you right away, and she bought it somehow. I mean, I'm not blaming her, but it's really gullible. Or, this was a long con. He was working at her for, at least a few weeks.
Possibly.
Building up to it. But at that point, I'm like, it's a lot of effort. Just to dump her in the morning. Get a prostitute or something. I don't know.
And I love it. It's great setup, though. I feel like it's been a while since we had a really, really good jerk. This guy, he is oh my god, I so do not care what happens for him, and I am so on board for all the horrible shit that's about to come his way.
Yeah, he's awful. He's the worst. And so we see him do his con with one random person, and we see how it kind of works, how he cons them out of money, and he uses his salesmanship. He tricks them into thinking they're getting a lot of money, which, by the way, these people are also really gullible. His con is ridiculous. He's claiming that if they pay them $250, which would be a total of $500, for the story he's selling, he's saying that the loved one who died already paid $250, so they owe another $250, right? He's saying that for paying $500, they're insured for $10,000 when they die. No more payments. It's not like they're paying $250 a month or every quarter or even a year. No. You pay $500 right now, you get $10,000 when you die.
Yeah, it's a little. It feels like he's promising way too much, but. I don't know. I don't know if it's a thing back then too. Maybe people were a little more trusting. Maybe you had more traveling salesmen at that point. I feel like now in this day and age, with all the kind of internet schemes and stuff that go on, people might be a little more savvy. But
I just think in a purely economic term, what I make you one payment, and then you somehow turn that into $10,000 by the time I'm dead.
Yeah.
What? No. Stupid. Anyway, so he goes to his next place. He's looking for this other victim. He looks through the obituaries. He finds this other place, and he goes to the Brackett household. And first, she's not very happy to see him. And this is where we're introduced to our other actor, who's in the episode, who's in the majority of the parts of the episode. Might I add? Excuse me. Oh, pardon me. So Tim Curry's in the episode. He plays Pa Brackett, Ma Brackett and their daughter Winona Brackett. Oh, and I have to admit, I recognised two of them. I did not recognise that he also played the dad.
Oh yeah, he is. Oh my god! I mean, Tim Curry already is just a great actor, but he really like loses himself in the role. Like, I've seen this episode before, so I knew it was him, and yeah, you see his name like 3 times in the credits. But yeah, honestly, if you didn't see his name and stuff, like I probably wouldn't have been able to tell.
No, I could tell it was oddly it was the male character that I couldn't tell was him. It was the other two. I was like, oh, immediately that's Tim Curry. I can tell by that smile. I know it's him. Whereas the male character, I was like, it wasn't until I looked at the credits after. I was like, oh, that was him too. He did the whole family. All right, okay. That must have been fun to shoot with like multiple Tim Currys in the scene, all the time. But hey, so he makes his pitch. He's like, oh yeah, here's a beautiful plot. Yes, I'll sell you. This plot of land, and you can be buried here. You get your insurance. Blah 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 blah. He notices the for the time the fancy stereo and TV, and he's like, hey, we've got the express package, which is $20,000 for $750. Very good. But so they like, okay, we'll have to see it, but sure, we'll go get some money for you. You have some coffee, and he finds his coffee's not warm enough, so he tries to go put it in the microwave, and there's a decapitated head in there, and then he finds another dead body in the pantry or whatever, and he's just kind of like, okay, I need to get out. But then they tie him up and they've got him, and the pa wants to just kill him, but Ma is like, no, what about Winona? Winona might like him, and then maybe he'll like Winona, and she can finally have a chance at happiness. And they set this up, and of course, Judd Begley Jr.'s character, he's just kind of like pretending to be knocked out. He's kind of worried, and then we get the long introduction to Winona, where he's just sort of sitting there, and he's trying to be a salesman. He's trying to be like, "Oh, you sound very pretty, and you know, maybe we could get along. I can feel the loneliness in your soul." Like he's laying it on thick. And then he sees her and he's like, "Ooh, you're so beautiful." So she's kind of this over the top, ridiculous, grotesque, hunchback kind of figure, and all the rest of it. But he's trying to convince her that he does in fact love her. So she wants to prove that he loves her because the body doesn't lie. So she takes him to her room, strips him down, takes off her underwear, and just kind of stares at his penis. Is like, "I don't think you love me," and you just see Bailey jiggle this. Give me a minute, and I'm like, that is no way to get an erection. You don't make this face like you're squeezing out a giant shit to get an erection. But he's trying his damnedest. What's odd about this scene is I feel like there's some problematic elements to it. Because it is a sexual assault scene. Like she sexually assaults him, but at the same time, there's something about it that's so absurd. Him trying to get an erection to prove that he loves her, so that she just won't let her parents kill him, and then Tim Curry sort of sliding on top of him and making that face as he kind of like plops on, if you will, for the first time, is so like. I just couldn't believe what I was watching. I was kind of like, what is this episode? What is happening? Why is Tim Curry on top of Egg Begley Jr. and moving up and down? And the funny thing is just as you're about, okay, this is actually really disturbing and it's sexual assault and this is bad, and that's when she kind of mentions, oh, they've got a dowry downstairs. They got money. We should get married and run away with all their money. They've got at least like $40,000-$50,000. And that's when you hear the sound effect in the track is the cash register, cha-ching, and he's like, "A dowry, you say? We should get married." And he's like, oh my god! Even in this situation, he's been a slimy salesman. He's trying to map out his little nest egg, and so he claims he's getting married. She gets her parents. Her father, of course, is a preacher, so he's going to perform the wedding, and they're about to get married, and because the father refuses to take his handcuffs off, young Winona gets really upset and then beats both of her parents to death. That's what happens.
Hmm.
and Judd happens to grab the handgun that was dropped during this all these shenanigans, goes downstairs while Winona's collecting the money, and he's like, "Hey, that's where it is. It's just down. It's buried here." And hands him she's got a shovel out, and he's like, "Oh, I've got a wedding present for you, honey." And he shoots her, and then he digs up the buried treasure, we'll call it. Opens the crate, and what's there? But one of his cemetery contracts for like $40,000 insurance. Uh, Somehow he came here already and did not remember that he had been here, which actually they kind of hinted at this almost earlier on, because when they were saying, "Oh, we killed the microwave salesman because it didn't work. We killed the TV salesman because it didn't work." Which, by the way, the TV salesman was inside the TV. The pad put him inside that. But so they kind of set up the idea that they only killed them once the thing they'd sold them proved to not work. So it was actually almost the fact that he came back was the reason why they wanted to kill him. It wasn't just that they killed every salesman who immediately just arrived, which is kind of what you kind of assume at first.
Oh, see, I actually didn't think of that. I kind of took it as I didn't think that he had been there before. I just assumed that they were onto his tricks, and I think the turning point for them, like earlier in the episode, they say like, "All right, well, we got to go see it before we can buy it," and then he kind of starts to be like, "Oh, yeah, well, yeah, okay. Tell you what, you give me a down payment now, and I'll come back tomorrow and take you there." And for me, I thought that was their turning point of going like, "Okay, this guy's full of shit. We're gonna kill him." And then I figured they just took one of his deeds out of his briefcase and put it in there. But I don't know. Maybe he had been there before. I didn't.
No, that's how I read it. I read it as like that ending to me was, no, he's been there before, and he didn't even remember them, and they've been playing him the entire episode. They knew he was full of shit the moment he walked in the door.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
But that's what I was getting from it, and so that's kind of the moment, and then it ends with Pa shooting him in the face. Basically, that's kind of the ending. So it's a ridiculous episode. There's a lot. I mean, I actually spent a long time there just kind of describing the plot, because there's a lot of plot in this one. It's actually a long episode. It's like full 30 minutes compared to, sometimes it's only like 22, 24 minutes. Yeah. This one's a bit longer. As for enjoyment, I guess I usually ask this earlier on, but actually I don't usually describe the plot in as much detail before I ask this. But Tim, do you enjoy Death of Some Salesman?
So it's funny because I'd seen this as a kid, and I was kind of dreading it coming up because like it was disturbing seeing it as I don't know, it's probably like 10 or 11 or something when I saw it. And I love horror movies, it can handle all the gore, but then when you're young and you're seeing like a weird like sexual thing, it's like, oh, this is pretty gross. But I mean, watching it now, like as an adult, I was like, all right, this is a lot more fun. I can handle it more. It is still very disturbing and gross.
It's a very silly episode, I think. There's a lot of silliness to it.
But I mean, I absolutely love like Ed Begley Jr. is great. He's mostly known for doing comedy, but he's a very funny actor, and he's great in this, and he really, really hams it up and is great as like just being the over the top jerk. And Tim Curry is just phenomenal.
I mean, honestly, I think this is an episode that would be terrible if it wasn't for those two actors. I think Tim Curry and I think Ed Begley Jr., I think those two are why this is remotely, because I don't think the plot's actually that great. Like, I think the plot's kind of,
it's okay,
it's whatever. I mean, I like the whole like dead bodies like around the house and stuff, but like the plot's just fine. But it's those two actors. It's them playing off of each other. It's them being over the top and slimy that actually I think makes it entertaining. I don't think it's the best episode ever, because like I say, there's a lot of kind of a troubled elements to it, where it kind of makes like a sexual assault, it makes like these things, and also just the idea of the ugly daughter is kind of a just a really tired trope from the old days. But
I think in this case, like all that stuff is like problematic and everything, but I think since it is the Tales from the Crypt universe and everything is so over the top, and it is a like we're dealing with like this big jerky guy, and these people that they're not good souls either.
Yeah,
like
beyond that though, it's more specific, because the whole idea at the start of the episode is that he tricks someone into having sex with him under false
True. Yeah.
pretenses.
Yeah.
So later on, he has to kind of almost do the same thing again, but in a much more negative light for
Yeah.
him, where he has to sort of do it under false pretenses again. But this time, it's just to save his own skin. So I mean, it is kind of a fitting thing in that sense. It's kind of a just as, I mean, it's just desserts. That's kind of Tales from the Crypt in a nutshell. But yeah, no, it's just, you know, it's the whole thing. But it is absurdly silly. Like Tim Curry, like sliding on top of him, the way he does. It's just like what was this like to film? Like on set, what were these two thinking as they were doing this?
And I like when they do like over the top stuff like this, where it's not just that she's, you know, deformed or whatever. You know, she also says stuff like, you know, he's like, "Oh, what's that like perfume you wear?" And she's like, "Oh, I haven't bathed in like weeks." And it's like, oh yeah, it's not just like that she's ugly, but she's also like smelly and, you know, like making these like coughing, hacking sounds. And
Yeah, and she spends the whole time going, "Oh, you don't think I'm pretty. You don't love me." He's like, but I do. I do. Yeah. I mean, dude, you're beautiful. We could be happy together.
and and like I do like the idea of like killing salespeople, but like using their own devices. Like you know, you don't really see it that much, but it's cool seeing the head in the microwave, and you know, they have a color TV that didn't work, and so they put the guy's body in it. Now they like, oh, now it's a color TV because, you know, you see his dead body and all the red and stuff. And I was like, oh, like these are cool. Like almost wishing, you know, would have seen like a little bit more of that stuff. But I like those visuals and that idea. I liked. And then,
Yeah,
of course, it, you know, fits in the end with him and his own burial plot.
I don't know if that would have. I don't know where you'd fit that in the episode, though. Yeah, add in more
Yeah,
of this stuff, because I mean, it's already a longer episode, so I don't know how you fit it in per se. I will say it's paced very well, despite the fact that it's a longer episode. I feel like it does use most of its time wisely.
It didn't really feel too long. It definitely,
Yeah.
I didn't think it dragged at all.
Which is funny, because sometimes we'll get a 20-minute episode and it'll feel like it drags because the plot's just not there to justify it. Whereas here, no, it felt like, no, we set up the type of character he is, then we set up what type of con he does, and then we have the kind of the main plot. 'Cause you could have almost just cut out those first two chunks and went straight to the house. But I think going into that scene knowing exactly what type of person he is, helps a lot. It helps you give a sense of him, because I think if you did sympathise with him in any way during all that stuff in the house, it would be much less
it'd be
fun to
awful.
watch. Yeah, you'd be just feeling cringy. But because he's such a sleazy scumbag, it's kind of like, oh well, no, I'm kind of okay with him going through all this torment. It's fine.
Yeah.
So, but no, yeah, but I'd say it's a solid episode. I wouldn't necessarily say it's one of my favourites though, but it's definitely the two cast members. They're the ones who raises. Shout out to the Crypt Keeper Open, because I actually quite like this one.
That was funny.
It's the home shopping network, and he's selling various killing devices, nooses, knives, stabbing implements, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, that was good. I wonder if younger people, if they're watching nowadays, if they would even really get that much. I don't know if Home Shopping Network's still that much of a thing, but it was a nice, funny little intro.
I don't actually. I think it is, but like,
I mean, I assume it's probably still on TV. I just doubt that many people watch like TV anymore. Or at least, like, you know, like younger kids probably aren't watching it.
certainly watched that on TV. Yeah, I mean, I feel like now though it's different. Now it's like, here's this thing. Go to our website and order it. Whereas before it was like all this like call in and we'll mail it to you, and like, because that was actually, it's funny you say that, because there was actually a line in this episode where Pa complains. He's like, "Oh, I respect door-to-door salesmen. It's like, you know, honourable tradition. All these young folks today just order stuff off the TV." Like,
Oh, yeah, that's true.
and I'm like, I mean, really, was there a time when people actually like, you know, was there a time when that became a normal thing that most people did? I don't really feel like it was. I feel like that was a novelty thing that some people might have done sometimes. But like, you know, it's not like now where most people shop on the internet, because that's a really normal thing to do now. That's like, some people do most of their shopping on the internet. Some people even get their groceries on the internet.
I feel like that was a 90s TV trope where, yeah, a lot of times you would see I think like in sitcoms there would be like, oh, the wife is obsessed with the Home Shopping Network or
Mm,
something, but I never really knew anyone in real life that actually did it.
yeah.
But I mean, it must have been a thing because yeah, they had like multiple channels for it. So
I would love to see how just how often they actually sold things. Like, because
yeah,
I'm willing to bet that it's quite low. I'm willing to bet that they didn't actually sell that much compared to what you think they might.
yeah, it was probably enough to like make some profit. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. But yeah, I doubt it was like
Especially when a
huge
lot of it
bucks.
was like just those weird things. Like they'd have like a, I don't know, like some weird device. It'd be like, oh, it's a vacuum, but it's got this fancy shaped nozzle that can do these
Yeah.
things, or you know, it'd always be these really specific like new inventions that would never come up again.
I I feel like and again this was like a joke I'd see a lot on sitcoms and stuff, but I feel like the thing that they made fun of a lot was like the collectible memorable plates or something. Like they'd have like, ooh, like our new like Elvis 50th anniversary collector's plate
Hmm.
or something, or like, ooh, like like our NASCAR plate set or something. I don't know. I don't know if that was much of a thing, but I feel like you would see that a lot as jokes.
There's some things I'm very nostalgic for from like the '90s, being a child at the time. This bullshit is not one of them. I'm
No,
o-
no,
I'm
certainly not.
I'm okay with this not being a thing anymore. But hey,
Yeah.
uh, so no, there you go. That is this week's Tales from the Crypt. Certainly an interesting episode. Much more interesting
Yeah.
than the last couple, I'd say.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Last couple were kind of rough, especially that last one. That season 4 finale was
Oh, yeah, that was
really
bad.
bad. So this was at least a nice step in the right direction. So hopefully we have another good one next week. But let us know what you think of this episode in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show and support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. You can do that over there. But
Oh, look at
otherwise,
you, salesman.
oh yeah, that's my salesman. So, yeah. Just for for $5 simple.
You can get $1,000 worth of votes.
You get $1,000 worth of Tim's prayers for you. I don't know how to
I'm
follow that
praying.
up, Tim.
Well, I'm praying right now. So
I don't mean to disturb you, Tim. We'll move
I'm
on
sorry.
then. We'll move on, and I shall simply say thank you once again for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.